Hi, everybody. Al Bernstein here with another one of my quick hits. And on this one, we're going to talk about one of the fights that is in the very ambitious and excellent schedule that Showtime has just announced. And it's one that will feature a couple of 168-pound champions, each defending their crown and, in theory, maybe facing each other. In fact, very likely facing each other if they should win in these title defenses. It will be held on April 30th. It will be James DeGale defending his title against Rogelio Medina, and Badou Jack taking on Lucian Bute, former 168-pound champion. Now, I think that this doubleheader is really intriguing, and the reason I kind of picked it out of the bunch of fights that we have coming up is, number one, I think it'll be an exciting evening of boxing, and number two, it's one that could set up a match, and I'm very, very anxious to see, but more about that one in a moment. Let's first dig into what's going to happen on April 30th. James DeGale will defend his version of the 168-pound title against Medina, who had to step in for another mandatory challenger. But it should be a very intriguing fight. And one of the reasons it should be intriguing is that Medina is a fighter who is an action fighter, comes forward, wants to make fights, and in his last fight beat J. Leon Love, one of the Mayweather disciples, in a very impressive victory. He has previously lost to Badou Jack, but has kind of resurrected his career with 4 straight wins, including the win over J. Leon Love. Now, one of the things about this fight, and it extends to the other fight as well, all 4 of the fighters who are fighting in this doubleheader engage the other fighter, which is interesting because 2 of the 4 previously had been boxers. But James DeGale and Lucian Bute, who used to box, are now fighters that engage and will battle on the inside. And in fact, James DeGale and Lucian Bute fought each other in the last fight that each man had. And DeGale showed in that fight a tenacity and a willingness to engage in firefights that surprised many people. That's the direction he's been going in. And we'll talk about Lucian Bute in a little bit, but Lucian Bute also has become that kind of fighter. So James DeGale defending against Medina should be an interesting matchup. Now, let's move on to the second part of that doubleheader, and that would be Badou Jack defending his title against Bute. Now, Badou Jack, of course, just recently defended the title against George Groves in a terrific matchup. Many people thought Groves was going to be the favorite in that fight and could easily have won, and Groves fought very well, but Badou Jack came of age. And now he's beaten 2 very good 168-pounders right in a row, Andre Durrell and then George Groves, and was supposed to take on Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in this this evening on April 30th. However, shockingly, Chavez Jr. had to pull out of the fight, allegedly for an injury, but rumors have him being around 195 to 200 pounds at the moment. So he left, and Lucian Bute steps in. Now, I referenced the fact that Bute, who's 36, a former champion, fought very, very well in his last fight against DeGale. It was, I thought, one of the best fights of 2015. Now, Bute was kind of left to the curb, knocked to the curb by Carl Froch a few years ago when he lost in brutal fashion to him. Then he lost to Jean Pascal, and everybody wrote him off. But then he had a long layoff. And when we were talking to him before the DeGale fight, Bute said, that layoff really helped me. Well, sometimes fighters say that, and it does or it doesn't. Well, it did help him. He fought very well against DeGale. And I thought really looked like a world-class 168-pounder again. Now, whether he's got one more of those in his tank, we don't know, but I think he does. And one of the things about Lucian Bute that's intriguing, I mentioned that early in his career he was a boxer puncher. He consciously became a slugger and became one of the best body punchers in boxing. And then as age encroached and he couldn't really move more, even more, he became a fighter that would engage and battle. And I mentioned body punching. Well, in this fight with Bute and Badou Jack, it's possible we will see the two best body punchers in the entire sport. Badou Jack makes a living with body punching, and he and Bute will put on a display of body punching that will be unparalleled. Many people, of course, think and expect that while they're in for tough fights, Badou Jack and James DeGale might well prevail in this evening of boxing. If they do, and if they get together, for me, it will be one of my most anticipated fights of this year. I can't wait to see those two men in the ring against each other. They are both very skilled fighters. They're right at their peak, and it's exactly what boxing fans should be seeing. And they have agreed to fight each other. So if they get through these tests, we will see later in 2016 James DeGale against Badou Jack. But first, there's this matter of April 30th. And the reason I'm highlighting it is I think we'll see some action boxing and two very, very good fights on this card. Now, I'll be privileged to announce it on Showtime in America. And for those U.S. fans watching this, they can see me on the broadcast of this fight, and I will look forward to it greatly. So we'll see you on April 30th.